Hello and welcome to this weekly Eyes of Harmony podcast. We've made it to week 2 in a row. Yes,
Yeah, we're still alive.
we're doing it. We managed to stick to something we said we'd do for 2 weeks. So let's see if we can do it. Let's bring on week number 3. I think while we're in isolation, it'll be very easy for us to do this.
Yeah.
When we're out of isolation, that's the real challenge. But this is a good warm-up session.
I guess so.
So here in this podcast, we're going to talk about just kind of Doctor Who stuff, what's happened over the past week, anything new, and yeah. So obviously the big thing this week was 15 years since New Who began again. Oh, the nostalgia, Rose.
So old.
So I know it's gone so quickly, cringingly quickly. I don't like it. I can still remember watching it, sitting down that day, 6 years old. That's how old we were, 6. Both of us would have been, I think. Yeah. Almost 7, but yeah, 6. And, oh, man.
I remember it. Although, what I remember more was the reaction of everyone afterwards in school.
Yeah, I mean, it just blew up, didn't it? It was crazy. A lot of people didn't come until, there was that first burst, and then there was a big burst, then Series 2. I know a lot of people came on with David Tennant. A lot of people said David Tennant was their first Doctor. But,
Well, I think everyone watched the Christmas Invasion and kind of stuck around.
Chris Eccleston all the way, though. Number 9. Always will be our Doctor.
I can get my,
Ooh,
this, hang on.
Yes. Go get it. Oh, I'm so jealous. He is. He
Beautiful.
was so fantastic. So good. That series is just so gosh darn good.
Yeah.
So gosh darn good. How can you... Ah, man. So, yeah, crazy. Though I read today, interesting thing, which I completely didn't know had happened at the time of release, and I didn't even hear... over the years, I've never heard of this. So, everyone knows of the time that the Graham Norton animation appeared. Do you remember the Matt Smith story with the Time of Angels, I think it is, at the climax, and the Doctor's got his gun out, is about to shoot the gravity ball, and this little animated Graham Norton appeared up saying Graham Norton on tonight at 10, right in this big climactic bit, and it was so funny. And they actually exterminated the Graham Norton cartoon on the Graham Norton show, later on for ruining it, which was so funny. But, so I knew that had happened, Graham Norton had ruined that episode, but Graham Norton actually appeared in Rose, little did we know, with the audio, and they released a clip of it, and it's just as it was such an okay moment, though, because it's kind of they're crowding around, and, I don't know if at the time anyone kind of completely noticed. I guess if you knew who Graham Norton was... Yeah, but I don't know. I completely never remembered that, or I guess it didn't ruin my experience. Or
I don't remember it when I was a kid, but I definitely remember hearing about it later.
I never heard about that one. I only knew the Matt Smith one.
How you missed that?
Today, because I was because Russell T basically he recreated it on so on the live stream he then shared Graham Norton's latest Eurovision post. And I thought Russell T is such a funny guy. I'd love to meet Russell T. And yeah, and then an article was oh, Russell T recreates the moment. I was what moment? I don't remember. I've never heard about this. So that's crazy. I didn't know that. And then they played the clip.
I definitely at least read it when I was researching Rose when we were doing our original review. I definitely picked that. I'm sure we never mentioned this. I swear when we used to do the whole
maybe we did. Oh
fact bit.
Yeah, maybe we did. I guess I just didn't take it
because
in
at that point we were just reading facts of the Doctor Who wiki.
Yes.
It's
journalism.
You don't remember it. It was just oh, and this happened, and
that's
and
weird.
fun fact,
Blah,
during
blah.
the production, this happened. So it says on here.
That's how great
Isn't
journalism.
Isn't that interesting?
That's how great journalism reviewing.
Yeah. Copying other
who needs a
people's work.
journalism degree? Just go to Wiki, guys. What you?
Yeah, who needs it in the modern age, right?
Yeah,
then at the point where our brains become wired into the computers and such, then we won't even need that.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be oh, you can't get all your facts from Wiki. Wrong. But yeah, so
you can, but it might not be accurate.
So yeah, so that was really cool. I didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy looking back at how like, while some of the CG doesn't hold up, the whole series as a whole does incredibly well. And that's like,
You wouldn't have known there was so much production issues on there.
yeah, like it looks like one of the smoothest like made productions. So like great scripts that all connect. You know, there's like the pre-Dalek and the post-Dalek where it's lot more fun and, you know, good times. And after kind of Dalek, it gets a lot darker storylines and kind of then actually there could be real, you know, issues meddling with time and jumping about and all the kind of ethical and social kind of issues and complications that come along with it. It's just a cracking series, and that's why when that Blu-ray, that Steelbook which Conrad just held up earlier, came out, that's why I was like, I need to get this on Blu-ray, because I mean, look at that gorgeous artwork.
It's pretty.
Can't beat it. Oh, Chris.
John Marrabin's there too.
I wish. Oh, Jonathan. Oh God. Just need Billy now.
Yeah, I do. But there is a good space for it. It's somewhere like here.
Yeah.
But I don't know when.
You could put it on the back.
Next time I'm going to be able to go to a convention, let alone the convention with Billie Piper there. We nearly got her.
Oh yeah, because she disappeared, didn't she?
She dropped out like last minute at Comic-Con. One of the Comic-Cons. What year was that?
That was.
It was the year we got Catherine Tate.
I think that would have been 2018.
Possibly, yeah.
I'd say 2018.
Slightly later.
Because Rick and Morty had come out, but it definitely wasn't 2019. Because I was in my evil Morty get-up, because it was an easy schoolhouse shirt, and I had some blue chinos, so I was like, I can fucking be Morty. Like, that was like on the day decision, and I found an eye patch, so I was like, there we go.
Where we spent how many was it like 4 or 5 hours waiting for Catherine Tate?
We waited about 2.5. But that's long.
No, because there was like a gap in between because.
Yeah.
And then
so
there was a gap because you went to do photographs while we waited in the queue.
Yeah.
And it took ages for her to get back, and then like
I think three and a half. Then it was something along those 3.5 to 4 hours. But she was super lovely. And you know, and Series 4
quite apologetic.
Series 4 is probably the best season as well. Like the 10 out of 10s in a row, like Midnight. The Forest Library, Turn Left, The Stolen Earth is fantastic. The issue is with the Journey's End, obviously, there was too many plot lines and they had to quickly kill the Daleks. That's the only issue when you write yourself in such a corner like that. Sometimes it's just impossible to get out.
I still enjoy that story.
It's still fun, though. It is literally Avengers, like Infinity War before, like literally Doctor Who did do it first, like getting all these universes to come together, Sarah Jane Adventures, Torchwood, and I'm like, how could something like, you know, that's so advanced, like, compared to anything else that was on TV at the time, like, crossing over not 2, but 3 shows, and then how did they drop out of that? Like, that's when you continue to expand the universe, you know, you keep them going. Obviously, Sarah Jane Adventures, that was very unfortunate what happened. But I'm not sure why Torchwood just, you know, stops. Just
were the viewing figures low? Or?
No, not really. Like they were fine. I mean, the Miracle Day didn't do as good, but that's because they just made it too many episodes. They made it like 10 when it probably could have been about 6 or 8. But Children of the Earth is one of the best like series like ever. Like you need to watch Children of the Earth, by the way.
I do.
Fantastic. Absolutely. I need to watch it again. Like I've never felt like, well, I have for some things, but it was one of the few things where I get so emotionally connected and like in the story that I was physically like getting up from my seat, being like yeah, you know, like really like shouting at the screen, which I don't usually do. Like it's quite hard, like especially like now over the years as things go on and I'm learning more about the media. I'm too like critical.
More and more jaded.
Yeah, I become more critical of things. I'm like, oh, that's a good camera, and I'm not like. It's harder for me to get fully in a story. So if now I watch anything and I get completely invested, I'm not thinking about, oh, that was a weird shot. Oh, this was that and that and that. You know, if I get completely lost in a story, then I know that was a great script because I got lost in it. So yeah, which is why I knew Can You Hear Me was a really good episode because I kind of got lost in that story with the nightmares and weird fingers and everything, you know. Yeah. And that's when I was like, this is a script I really like. Which weirdly, on Doctor Who TV, on the polls, was like voted one of the worst of last series.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to that when they put Future of the June in
first. I was like, what? It's that was all the people who were happy to see Jack, who were like 10, like, yeah. Because and now the issue is because of what happened. Is like now it's kind of tainted that episode for us. They just didn't need Jack in there. It's like if you're gonna have Jack.
Well, it wasn't a very well put together episode to begin with. Like it brought a lot of questions, but
it was too many.
It was kind of messy.
Too many. It's like, don't have this. Look, you do the Timeless Child story first, and then you do There's Enough a Doctor story and Enough a series. They're two complete season arcs, which should be done in two different seasons. Like they don't work at the same time. Sure, they could connect up like that, but you know, it's like the Doctor always bumping into Wilf, and like meeting Donna, but actually it was always Wilf. It was always going to be him. That's why I loved it, you know, like he kept bumping into Wilf. He bumped into him on the Titanic episode, basically, kind of thing. And it's like it was always leading, always Wilf finds him in an afternoon, you know, like stuff like that. Really, that works. Those kind of like smaller arcs. So yeah, the arcs are fine. I mean, yeah, we got to get on board now with whatever has been said. I'm not gonna be one of those people who's like, it doesn't. If I pretend it doesn't happen, it's not, you know. I can understand people trying to do that, but for me, I just find it then it's just more like, I don't know, mental efforts to try and pretend something doesn't exist when it does. You know, it's like I just want to watch it and enjoy it. So, while I don't particularly like it, I'm gonna accept it and just move on. You know, there's no point. It's a TV show at the end of the day.
Wow. Yeah, I suppose.
It means a lot to me. I mean, like, you know, the fact we made a whole YouTube channel and the, 15 years since, you know, it's just so much nostalgia, like, because of those 15 years I spent, years collecting got the VHSs, all the DVDs, kind of like, so much changed just because of this one show. Like, it shaped our whole life. We probably wouldn't be friends without this show. No. Maybe.
Although one of the earliest things we were talking about was the 3DS. So 3DS. I don't remember what order of things happened.
But see, from my point of view, though, I started making an effort to try and talk to you because literally no one else in the year kind of who I liked. Like, because there were some people in that year who maybe sort of liked Doctor Who, but not to a level that I knew it. Like, they kind of knew Who, but I knew that you were the only person who kind of also knew classic Who a bit. So yeah, like you were the only kind of, sorry for that slight interruption, Conrad was bought some coffee. So now I'm going to continue. Hey, and a nice Hulk fist. Grr, what's he gripping? Nobody knows. If you hold that on your lap, it would look really funny. But so I knew that you were one of the few people in the year who actually kind of knew Doctor Who, like to the level that I could like talk to you about it on a nerdy like level, not just like this surface like, oh, it was really good, like, because there's some people like who like Doctor Who but couldn't critique it, like every episode was amazing or they hated it, like they couldn't, like, I don't know, they didn't have that extra bit of knowledge to be able to actually make a, I don't know, to me, an interesting discussion conversation out of it. Or like no classic monsters and stuff. So I remember I made that kind of, at least an effort to try and talk to you more. So about the show,
it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, best friends now for how many years? At least from, I mean, it was about the early Matt Smith years, so 2010 time. So almost 10
later on that
10 years. There we go.
Like that.
Crazy how it all works. And all because this one man, Russell T, wanted to bring back Doctor Who. It's amazing. I'm amazed.
It's a lot more complicated than that, but okay.
Well, I mean, it was a big point.
The higher ups wanted to bring back Doctor Who, basically, and it just happened that the ambitions happened to align.
Yeah, it's crazy that even the high ups wanted to bring it back.
There's actually recently a really good video that just came out for it. Just bring up the name, but which was literally like yesterday. That was covering like the whole night. Yeah, Clever Dick Films.
Cool.
Doing kind like a kind of an overview on the era, talking about like some of the behind the scenes things and about the things surrounding the episode.
Oh, is
and
he the
just
one
did
who
like
does the era of all of them? Oh,
Yeah,
yes, I love that guy. Yeah,
yes,
really good
yeah.
videos, yeah.
He just as I said 15 hours ago, he did like a
Oh,
whole one, the Christopher Eccleston era, which
nice.
is like an hour 13. It was
Oh, I'm
really,
gonna watch
really
that.
well
I
done.
love his. Yeah, he is like this guy does a really good channel, and he talks. He's done every single Doctor up to 9 at the minute. He was probably waiting for this, to be honest, to upload it.
Mm.
And yeah, he's really great. That's real journalism, not as
Yeah.
that's real journalism. Finding out that
We just talk a lot of shit.
yes, we do. But that's okay. I mean, our opinions are slightly interesting, I suppose, to some. Ourselves. But yeah, yeah, I look forward to watching that then. Because yeah, it's crazy that, something that they were so keen to cancel that they were suddenly so keen to bring back as well. I mean, it was such a staple. I mean, it showed like you could see the fan base was still so loyal after all these years. And I was like, if we could do this really well, like,
Despite TV and various media constantly mocking the show and
Yeah.
putting it down, it's like, oh, it's all cardboard sets and
Yeah, which
men
it
costumes.
hardly ever was, really. Like, it was...
There were some moments of set
Yes,
wobble,
of
but
course
there
there
was a
was.
lot of.
It happened in other shows, though. Like, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, if you watch any other sci-fi show, it happened in those as well.
Yeah.
I know that ITV pumped loads of money into, like, when they did, was it Red Dwarf or something?
That was BBC too.
Was that BBC?
And that was BBC as well.
Which was the ITV one? They had a Star Trek, was it? Star Trek.
No, I don't think ITV ever had Star Trek. Star
What's
Trek
it-
was, of course, American, which
Yeah.
they brought over, and I think at least in terms of the Next Generation, the BBC had that as well.
I'm trying to think. ITV had a show at the same time, maybe during the third Doctor era or something. It was kind of sci-fi-ish. I can't remember what it was now. But like all these shows always had like, and some Doctor Who, when it had competition, usually had loads more money put into it as well. That was the only thing. That was the only thing that ever kept like Doctor Who on its toes. Is if something with a slightly bigger budget came along. Or the Mutants was playing, because that was awful. Comrades are worst rated Doctor Who story, which is crazy that it beat Underworld, because that was tripe. But yeah, so
Underworld has qualities, not much.
Episode 1 was
but
pretty good, wasn't it?
It's kind of structured.
Episode
it's
1
not
had a cool
six
set.
parts of pure boredom.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, like, it was episode 1 was not too bad of Underworld, and then it just crashed. I think that's why I gave it
Yeah.
a 1, because like episode 1 was decent. But
At least you can laugh at it, even if it's worse, like the
Green
terrible
screen.
green screens and all
screen.
that. I mean, and the Doctor and the smoke machine and stuff like that, and the floating upwards. I mean, it's dumb, but you laugh at it. The Mutants is just
it's just
you can't
it's
laugh
trying
at
to be
that.
serious, isn't it? So it's just nah.
It's just wandering through caves for 6 episodes. It's the most boring tripe.
So so for this special kind of anniversary, 15 years. I mean, 60th is coming up now. Like, how
It
quickly
is.
has that gone since the 50th? Crazy. 2 or 3 more years, and there's going to be a multi-Doctor story,
Yeah.
which I'm very excited for. That'd be cool. I wonder what they'll do.
Well, we'll see what they do for it. I mean, they might do a multi-Doctor, or they might do something completely different. I don't know. Maybe they'll bring in every Doctor, bring them all the different
recast
cycles.
them and make them all sexist, apart from number 13.
Be 100 Doctors.
Do you think we'll have another female Doctor after Jodie, or do you think we'll go back to male? And do you think Jodie's going to leave before the 60th? Do you think we'll be on Doctor 14 by the 60th anniversary?
Well, in another 3 years, yeah. I think we get another Doctor by then.
Do you think next series is going to be Jodie's last?
If history of current cycles go, maybe, but I think I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I think we'll be on Doctor 14 by then, for sure. And then Doctor 14 would leave not too long after the 60th. I mean, then
Yeah.
you've got a lot of roster to use for the 60th. Maybe even Eccleston might come back at this
Maybe.
point. I mean, he's healing
I
pretty
think,
well at
warmed
this
up to
point.
the idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
At least in terms of like a connection to the fan base, certainly it was what he was talking about. You know,
even
it's
if he
like,
did a short little bit.
sure, there's a lot of bitterness and a lot of history between him and a lot of the production staff at the time. But like he said, yeah, he was talking about it like, it's like really the fan base is what's important and whatnot. And it's
nice. I'm really happy that it's kind of come around a lot, because it was always kind of disheartening to hear that he kind of didn't like kind of talking about it at all. I can understand it though. It was a lot of pain that he kind of went through, and he was struggling with like anorexia as well, which is it's crazy to think, kind of just how much he went through, kind of for that role kind of thing. But I mean, like, his performance is just one of maybe the best I've ever seen. Definitely, that series is what definitely made me decide I want to go into TV film. Like, I want to make stuff like this. Which, I mean, I think as a creator is there's not much more you can ask for, really, inspiring people to try and make stuff. Like, like, and that's why I'd love to meet Russell, just to thank him for that. But yeah, talking of Russell, he's done two special things that he's released this week, and Chris Chibnall released as well. And there was also a little Jodie did a video as well.
oh yeah, that.
So
in
obviously,
the closet somewhere.
because of a whole lockdown, COVID-19 coronavirus thing, they're kind of all kind of coming together and really kind of making an effort. The kind of free showrunners to keep people sane during these insane times, which is really nice to see. So I guess we'll start kind of with maybe the let's start with the Chibnall stuff and then move on to the Russell T, because I think there's more to talk about Russell T. So like the first was like Jodie in a cupboard doing a nice little isolation video, which I thought was quite nice, probably for younger fans as well. Which is just kind of giving top tips about like how to
if
remain
they're even
calm.
on Twitter
And
to see it, but
I'm sure like families would like. I'd show my kid if I saw that. It's a nice little scene. I love it when they do that. I've seen like Christopher Eccleston did one for like a kid, like years later, being the Ninth Doctor, which was so lovely to see. And it's really nice when you see them kind of do these little videos and like in costume, just in like a cover. It kind of brings a weird kind of realism to it, kind of like when it's just like on a phone, like it's like, oh, there's a Doctor in a like, it kind of makes you believe like, oh, this character is out there somewhere doing something. So yeah, it was just a really sweet video, and I think if you haven't watched it, it's very nice to watch. And the second thing was obviously
a minute and a half, so
yeah,
might as well.
You got a lot of time on your hands at the minute.
Indeed.
I mean, you're only allowed out once a day for like an hour max, so you got 23 other hours to fill in a day.
Indeed.
So a minute and a half, not too bad. And yeah, and then the second thing was Chibnall wrote a little piece of when the Doctor's kind of falling from her TARDIS at the start of kind of The Woman Who Fell to Earth, which is it reminds me a lot of The Whale from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes.
But in a good way, like it's a nice homage to it.
Yeah.
Like the Doctor's kind of like thinking about kind of just this new birth and what's going on and how stuff's like falling, and
it doesn't end as bloodily as The Whale did.
So she's
that would have been something. They just crashes through the train and
dies. Well, she kind of does, because the regeneration energy brings her back, as it says at the end. But it's nice. Like she's like thinking, oh, I've just had like 1,046 thoughts in a second. Wait, does this thought of me counting count as number 47? Like 1,047. It's a nice little bit, and it's kind of, I don't know. I feel like Chibnall has more of a personality for the 13th Doctor, which is always on the page, but it never comes across like on screen. Like I think there's so much character in like the 13th Doctor's head that we just never get to see. It's like all these thoughts, and like it's just like, and that's the issue. And we get the 13th Doctor talking out loud a lot, because this is the first time I've seen Chibnall's writing of the 13th Doctor, and actually I really quite liked it. Like, reading it was quite, I could, really see Jodie and completely be like, yes, that, like, but I think, on screen, the issue is when you're falling and you're saying these kind of thoughts out loud, they never sound that good. It just sounds like you're spouting off, like, dialogue, like, spouting off, like plot details, like... And that's the issue. It's like in The Timeless Child, really nice moment where the Doctor's breaking out the Matrix using all her thoughts. But the issue is just like, I'm talking to myself again. Hello, Doctor. It just sounds really clunky. And that's the issue, is because half the time the thoughts we have up in our head, we don't say out loud. And maybe this Doctor does, but it just comes across as unnatural, I guess. I don't feel like maybe they've introduced it. Maybe they just they've never properly introduced this kind of trait of the Doctor talking out loud to herself properly, that no one's ever no one's ever really addressed it. Like, you talk a lot to yourself, and it's like, oh yes, like, and then maybe, oh my, like, something like the connection between her brain and her mouth is like a bit loose in this regeneration, so she can't even stop herself from talking, like a little line like that, just to give that extra bit of like, oh, so there's a bit of a, not a defect, but just like, that's a, like
What?
Like a little, tick thing,
I mean, maybe it would have been better if they'd actually, like, I don't know, if they actually did, like, vocalize the thoughts rather than actually have her say it, like they do in some shows where it's just like you look around at like the environment and you get like,
oh, like the VO, like, so a voiceover of her thinking it rather than actually hearing it.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been interesting. Like, that could have been... I just feel... Because the issue is when someone talks out loud to themselves in a room with nobody, it's like they rarely did it with David Tennant, and the time they did it is when I think it was just after Martha had left or something, or just after... No, I think it's in The Dead Planet, or... No, not Dead Planet. Oh, I can't remember what episode it is. It's just after a companion's gone, and the Doctor's... I think it must be... the Titanic, because the Doctor's like talking to himself or something, and then he looks around and he realizes he's alone, and he stands up really kind of sadly and just kind of stands there quietly, like, because he realizes, like, why am I talking to anyone? Because there's no one here.
I don't think that's the Titanic.
No, I can't remember what episode it is.
It's quiet.
Oh no, it's Partners in Crime before he's bumped into Donna, because it's like, because he's got like the little fat thing and he's in his TARDIS, and it's like, it's a really powerful moment. He's lonely, and you get the whole thing there, but the issue is just like, I don't know. I feel like there's so much more character that Chibnall writes into the 13th Doctor, which is on the page, but can never get onto screen, because it's like, and it's a shame, because I really actually quite like the writing style of what he did. So I don't know. It's interesting to see that side of kind of Chibnall's writing and be like, okay, so you actually have a interesting kind of cool character here. The issue is it all happens inside their head, so whenever you're trying to make their character come out, it just sounds a bit like clunky dialogue, rather than, okay, so this is what's going on in the Doctor's head, which maybe that's why it just needed that slight line of, oh, my something's a bit loose in this body, you might like catch me talking to myself a lot or something, so like that, just a nice little line or something.
Maybe not quite that on the nose.
Not on the nose, but like, you can... I'm trying to make this up as I go along. People have time to write scripts.
Be warned, audience, I'm going to start talking to myself.
Yeah, that's perfect. Address you'll break that fourth wall. Doctor Who doesn't do it enough. But, yeah.
Merry Christmas to you all at home.
Yeah, basically. Just, let's make the next one Deadpool. Let's just have the next Doctor be Deadpool. Be like, oh, great, the Daleks are here, guys. Get ready for some... emotions and extermination. It's like the Doctor could just like look at the camera every time like Davros says something like, Christ's sake. It'd be quite funny to do an episode where the Doctor just completely breaks the fourth wall.
Who does this overgrown prune think he is?
Well, that could be a really interesting story though, actually. If you had a whole episode set with someone just watching... Has this happened? Has this been an episode? Just a whole episode of someone watching the Doctor on TV. I swear this is... So, like, Silence in the Library. You know when the girl's watching the Doctor on the TV? The really trippy with Dr. Moon and everything? That's so, like, that whole story is just crazy. It's so, like, trippy, that bit where she's just watching Doctor Who on TV and like she can hear the music. I love that bit at one point when they're running on TV and they added like the music in with them running on the TV. Like is I love that bit. And yeah, like but something like that. So a whole episode where the Doctor's just watching, like kind of like Blink, where the Doctor's breaking the fourth wall to the character, but throughout the whole thing, the Doctor's breaking the fourth wall to the audience, maybe something like that. But it's actually like not kind of Sleep No More that it's found footage, but like something else. Like, you know, I don't know, like a weird experimental episode, like early.
Or just like the Truman Show Doctor Who edition.
Yeah, something weird like that. Something really weird like that. Where the Doctor kind of wakes up in this world. Something interesting. Just, I think like Doctor Who should do some experimental shit sometimes.
There was something kind of like that in one of the big finishes I listened to. It was one of the David Tennant's one, where they kind of had like him try and stop basically trying to going into like a middle of a battle. Only it turns out that was kind of part of a reality TV thing. The whole battle was just like part of a seasons of a TV show. That's slowly on the decline. Are doing more and more extreme things in order to keep the show's ratings going.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, it's like something like, you know, just I don't think they do enough. I'd love a Doctor Who story set on like a film set or something. We haven't had that yet. Like set on a film or like a TV show being made, and the Doctor ends up being an actor in it, or something like that. Like,
I'm sure that was never done.
I don't think there's ever been something like, or like they've done kind of theatre. They did the Shakespeare episode, but like the Doctor never had to like act in it. And it'd be quite funny watching like the Doctor having to try and infiltrate this film set by being an actor and just being actually god awful at acting, or something like that, you know. But the companion's somewhat good, or you know, something like that. No, they never had like an acting like an actor come on the TARDIS or something. Like that would be really interesting because they could get into so many locations using their kind of skill set as an actor to.
I think we just need more interesting companions. Just period.
Exactly. From different periods would be cool as well. But,
and that too.
Bill was a proof that you don't need to. They can be from modern day and interesting. Bill was proof of that. But yeah, just. I still can't believe they haven't done it. Nardole was so loved, and it's because he was different.
Yeah, exactly.
We still don't really completely know what he was. He was kind of there, and it was great, and everyone loved it, and then he left and it was sad. Everything ends and it's always sad. But, yeah. Man. Yeah. I don't know. I just love some differentness. Like, let's throw some weird conceptual ideas out there. Let's, you know, do the odd weird episode. Just one a season. Like Love and Monsters is very experimental, really, for the time. So was like Turn Left. That was crazy. Like, let's basically do a what if.
What if?
It's a Marvel what if, which is so fucking good. So good. Yeah, unreal. But yeah, I guess talking about what ifs. This is a great little segue into Russell T's thing that he wrote. So we got two things for Rose, a prequel and a sequel. So let's start with the prequel. So back in 2013, Doctor Who magazine writer, I think Tom or something was his name. I can't remember his last name, but he like approached Russell T, being like, "Oh, could you write like the last moments of a Time War before he regenerates into the ninth Doctor? Like, he just write as the end of a Time War, like it was like the end of a novel of a big finish." And Russell T was like, what the hell, fine, I'll do it. So he wrote this little piece, and they showed Moffat just to check, and Moffat was like, oh, you're doing that. No, because obviously they didn't know that it was going to be John Hurt, and they Russell T didn't know about the McGann regeneration anyway. Like barely anyone knew about that. Yeah, which is so cool. One of the best things to come out of the 50th. But yeah, so what was so interesting to see was, so in this piece, it's kind of basically the Eighth Doctor's last moments before he kind of regenerates and ending the Time War. And it's so great reading like Russell T's Doctor Who. Like it's so amazing like how these three writers have just completely different styles. The same show, but it's just completely different in style. And it was just lovely to kind of read like his idea at the end of a Time War.
Conceptualize the Eighth Doctor doing it, because I mean that was always a thing. Moffat said he didn't picture the Eighth Doctor being the one to
to be the
finish
one
the
to
Time
finish
War.
it.
I don't know, because I think characters can change, and
I think it would have
especially
been
in
more
war.
heartbreaking him doing it because he was
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
romantic Doctor. Really, he was
Yeah,
very
he
proper
starts out
Englishman.
like that, but the pain of war
I mean, you
forces him
see
to
it.
become something completely different. Could have been quite an interesting development from that. So in a way, it was a shame that Paul McGann never got the chance to kind of portray that side of the Doctor. But at the same time, I'm not upset because we got John Hurt as the Doctor. So.
He was fucking awesome. Rip, John Hurt, R.I.P. What an act. I'm glad we got him while we did.
Yeah.
And like, he's not really like needed in any multi-Doctor stories because that's his story, kind of that one there. It's such a self-contained kind of time period.
Not that some of the extended things they did with him, like Engines of War is a fantastic book, and like I've been listening to some of the. I haven't got through all of his Big Finish, but they actually it's really good as well. Like some of the extended stories of that kind of era of the Time War. I mean, the Time War just fascinates me in general, right? That the more Big Finish do of it, the more I'm gonna buy, and the less money I have.
I need to get round to them. I really enjoyed Engines of War.
I finished it.
Yeah, it was really, really fantastic.
It really was.
But that's what I like. I like that John Hurt is like he is that Time War period, and like we don't really need him to crop up at any other point in Doctor Who. Like I really like that he is maybe the one Doctor that is his only multi-Doctor story. Obviously now it has to be, but even if he was still around, I don't think I particularly would have wanted him to show up because he regenerates right at the end of his story. So it would have just been this grumpy war Doctor throughout the whole thing anyway. He wouldn't have fit in anywhere really as a character because if he met himself, I don't know. I feel it would have changed then what happened in the 50th, and it gets a bit messy. But yeah, it was interesting to see like how Russell T kind of fought up of the Time War ending, like time locking, like how that happened. From what he wrote, it seemed like this massive like void opened up, swallowing everything, and then sealing shut, with the Doctor kind of falling through it, and the TARDIS kind of collecting him. And the TARDIS is I love the bit where it nods to the Doctor Who movie, and that they damaged his TARDIS to resurrect the Master, because obviously at the end of the movie, the Master gets sucked into the Eye of Harmony in the Doctor's TARDIS. Not that you finished film, but that's what happens at the end.
But I know, I know the end. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So it was really nice that they did a little nod there that they really damaged like the Doctor's TARDIS, getting him out. So that's why.
Who was the woman they mentioned?
See, that's what's left open. It's like that's what he wanted to leave, like some weird things which are just open. Because I think the point that Russell T liked about it, which other writers use. Like for the example of like the suitcase in Pulp Fiction, all it ever is a glowing light. It's literally a lamp in the suitcase when they shot it, but it's left open to the audience to decide what's in there, and that's a lot more fun than sometimes being told every single thing that's happened. True. Like that's what's fun about was fun about Doctor Who was who is this person, It was always so much more. I always enjoyed it far more the less we knew about the Time War, because every time they gave us a little tidbit about Gallifrey, I was like, give me more. It was like my fucking drugs, like every time, like when he spoke about Gallifrey and like the sound of drums, and we even just saw clips, little segments of Gallifrey, that one Time Lord with the Citadel behind him. I was like, oh my god, Gallifrey. And it was so much more. And that's why, in some ways, I like that they brought Gallifrey back, but I was also like gutted because it became this really kind of like this really rare little like tidbit that you could get every now and then. And same with like Russell T and talking about the Time War. Like we only found out things like what is the Nightmare Child? What are the jaws of like we still don't particularly know.
No, because the Nightmare Child's explicit in this little short segment. Like they made to bring it up again.
Like they fired planets at the skull of the Nightmare Child. Like what is the Nightmare? Like such a cool name. Like what a fucking cool name. And like none of us know. But that's what makes it cooler, because to everyone it can be whatever they imagine this Nightmare Child is. What is it? And it's so much more interesting when it is left up to the audience. It is. It always will be, because the audience member will always come up with the most satisfying thing to them, because they want to know. They're so extreme. Is it this? Is it this? And then if you go, oh, actually, it's this, and they'll be like, oh, I would have preferred if it was this. You know, like, so, and that's why I completely understand that he barely wrote any details actually about the Time War. He literally does the time lock, which we already knew that happened, and the Doctor escaped and survived and regenerated. He wrote what we already knew, but it was just really beautiful to read. And I love that the Ninth Doctor's first words were "blimey."
Yeah.
Blimey.
I would have liked to have actually seen that on screen if he did that. If he actually filmed the
Would have been
regeneration.
very cool, but obviously now we've got all the regenerations apart from Joe Martin's Doctor. Which what do we
I
even
guess,
call
and
her?
plus all the other Doctors in between, I suppose. What about all the Morbius Doctors? We need to see all those regenerations.
Yeah, let's bring the cast and crew back if they're still alive. Who knows? Let's do a multi-Doctor story with them. I mean, like, screw it. Their faces were so like in that thing. They could be however old and it wouldn't matter. But I guess I think they're gonna delve more into the Timeless Child and these past versions in the next series. I don't think it's over yet, which I'm fine about. Like, I'm very happy that. I'd prefer more explanation now than just leaving it like that. Unless they decide to unless I'm like, it's like, fuck it, if we're gonna go this way, let's fucking get through it. Let's see what you're gonna do with it. Because what I hate more is when they like try an idea and then backpedal, like with the new Daleks in Victory. It's like,
or with Star Wars.
or yes, exactly, with Star Wars, and it always
like,
comes out
worse. I'm
worse.
not fond of the Last Jedi in a lot of ways, but you know, if you're gonna go that route,
then
go
let's
the
fucking
whole way.
go the whole way. Don't just turn back and then do Force Awakens, the sequel.
Like Colin Trevorrow's script for that was
fucking
flawed,
awesome.
but by
So much
comparison, I would have much rather seen that movie than
Yeah.
what we got.
So much better. It looks so much cooler. Colin Trevorrow's. I can't believe they didn't go with that. It's ridiculous. But yeah. So I say with the Timeless Child, let's just go the whole hog now. I like the canon's already broken for some people, so it's like, well, you can't break something more. Like,
well, I think you probably could.
You can, but I mean, like, at this point, it's like, well, you've already cracked the plate. Let's see if we can mold it into something different and cool, or fuck it. At least let's just fucking try it. Let's go the whole way now. Let's not just fizzle out and be like, oh, let's just do another story arc instead. You know, season arc. Let's finish it off. Let's make this.
Not particularly
Jodie's
happy with it, but you know.
Exactly. No, I agree. I'm feeling the same. Like, there's some parts I like about the Timeless Child. I just didn't like that it was a Doctor, but that could still really easily be changed. We could easily find out that the Timeless Child isn't the Doctor.
True, but then that does feel like a backpedal at that point.
Depends how they write it at this point. It depends if they've come up with enough idea format. Maybe the Doctor did have a life cycle before and did have their mind wiped, but not because they were the Timeless Child, but because they were the protector of the Timeless Child. Something like that.
Or like I said, the Explorer
woman, or
whatever.
actually have the Doctor be the one who experimented on this person and actually wanted their memories to be wiped because of the disgust and shame they had. And then you can have the journey of a Doctor trying to find the Timeless Child and check it's okay, look after it, apologize, whatever, you know? Because I you know, it makes complete sense that the Time Lords would be like, hey, this fucking species can regenerate and live for fucking thousands of years. I don't fucking want that, you know? That sounds like such a Time Lord thing to do. Classic kind of, you know, Rassilon thing. Like, I want to fucking live forever. Let's torture this child. You know, that like, I was completely fine with that whole side of things. It was just the Doctor having regenerations before, fine, can just get past. But the Doctor being the Timeless Child, that is where I was like, fuck this shit. And that's the thing. And that's why I'm so like, on like the Timeless Child episode, because there was a lot of elements I liked. It was just, I just knew that when they were coming up to it and they were going to say it, I was like, no, don't do that bit. Everything else I was fine with, but it was just that extra step. It was like, it's like the game when you're like trying to hit 21 in cards and you're like, hit me, and like you're getting like good cards and you're like, wow, I've almost got 21 here, and like then you could stop at maybe 20, but like you're like, hey, there's like a very small chance I could get an ace, and then they go hit me, and then they get like a fucking king, and then you've gone way over 21.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you were doing so well, and you're like, fuck it, flip the table, just give me all the cards. You know, and it's it was so close. But I say let's fucking go with it now. But I really did enjoy back to Russell T's kind of story. It was a really nice thing to read. I just love reading Russell T's stuff because that was our era. That will always be our favorite era. I can
Indeed, he has a certain way with it. Like I wasn't fond of a Rose novelization, to be honest, but
really I loved how violent it was. It was so much more violent.
Yeah, it's just all the added fluff. It was just too much.
Yeah,
right.
I guess they did pad out bits. Like Wilson actually had that character bit, didn't he?
Or Mickey's whole band thing, or whatever it was, and all that whole, like the weird long section they had about like an ex-boyfriend of Rose or something. Or it was like, this is way like, yeah, I understand you need to expand on things for a novelization, but that was like, let's throw everything in the kitchen sink in here.
Yeah,
change a lot of fundamental aspects about the episode too.
I love the scene with Clive actually, where
oh yeah,
and they were showing actually other doctors like the Fifth Doctor.
Yeah, with more
and stuff,
references to actual
more classic.
thing.
Realistically, it wouldn't have all been this Ninth Doctor that Clive only tracked down. Realistically, obviously in Rose and the context, it's the new series. You don't want to freak people out by showing different faces at this point. You don't want to confuse people at that point. You just want to be like, there's this one guy who can travel through time.
And there was one thing about it, like they really, in novelization, they really worked hard to make Mickey seem like this kind of angel, this wonderful person. Which on one hand is like, yeah, given how he acts in the series, like, make him seem like this great person. It's like, sure. But at the same time, it makes Rose seem all the more heartless.
Yeah.
I guess
she is horrible. Rose is not a good character when you look back. When you look back, she treats Mickey like shite.
Yeah,
it's awful.
It's true, but it becomes all the more apparent there, which is like throughout it you're like, okay. And I guess the other thing was that the way they end it with like Clive's wife seems like she's going to be out for vengeance. It's like they're not going to follow up on that, but it's like that would be an interesting storyline.
It would, wouldn't
where
it?
Clive's wife,
because
goes
after the Doctor. Yeah. It was, yeah. I
mean, they try a few more things, but like I said, they spend so much time. Like my biggest problem is whole like Mickey's crew. I think they were like a whole band, and it's like they spent so much time with these like bunch of characters in a plot that a side plot that doesn't really go anywhere, and it's like. It
was still nice to read a novelization of that story.
But I much preferred what Moffat did with Day of the Doctor rather than what Russell did with Rose.
I need to get Day of the Doctor.
Yeah, Rose was just cluttered and too much fluff compared to what it originally was in terms of novelization.
Have they done any more of those novelizations?
They're doing Dalek because I got that one actually on pre-order.
Oh, that would be good actually.
Yeah, they got that one coming. They are doing more. Hang on.
What have we got? Doctor Who. Oh, what are they called?
They do have another. They'd probably just be under Target novels.
I was thinking Big Finish. I was like, no, that's audio.
Oh yeah, no, they did City of Death, a new version, like a.
Oh, they're doing the movie.
Because they didn't do that originally, and I got that one actually sitting on the shelf.
Oh, they're doing the Witchfinders, the Crimson Horror, the Dalek. Yeah. Oh, Rob Sherman's writing it.
Dalek, yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. I might get them. It's weird wanting to read a version of something that we could just watch, but it's like there's a different
But yeah, they expand on things and make it so much more. They add things and like they expand
things
on
that they
certain
wanted to have in originally, but didn't.
It's like an interesting companion piece to whatever story, and in some ways it improves stories. In other instances, it makes it, adds too much, as is the case with Rose, as I said.
Oh, they're doing one of the whole.
Yeah, so
they're doing the Target storybook, which has all of them, like one from each Doctor.
They did. Up to, and they did Twice Upon a Time, which I'm not interested in. Of course, they did Resurrection and Revelation.
In some ways, Paul Cornell's a great writer.
Planet. They're doing the TV movie. Dalek, Crimson Horror, and the Witchfinders, alongside the Pirate Planet, which was not done before,
Yeah,
and
Douglas Adams.
Revelation of the Daleks and Resurrection. They're all
Oh.
coming out July 23rd. Presuming Corona doesn't put all these off.
Yeah, I mean they're delivery, so it should be fine. It just depends if the factories have closed down.
But
I
yeah,
love
no,
that they've continued the classic looking covers for them though. And
Well,
they have. I'm glad
kind
they. Yeah, but like I was
They kept
worried.
the kind of same artwork, but like they don't do the whole like full. They don't, so like they do it based on the reissues. So they reissued a lot of them and did this kind of white styled, not like a full screen, but like the kind of the stylized gold, which I still appreciate. They do kind of the artwork for that. Although a lot of the modern ones actually use pictures rather than illustrations, like they did here.
Wow,
So like this is the City of Death one,
Yeah.
and they kind of keep it in that style, but of course they use pictures and just kind of. But they kind of keep it in the same style. But that, of course, that's not how they originally were. So if we look at like the Crusades we got here, that's like a whole
that's
full
the
front. I prefer this, to be honest. I
Really?
kind of, in some ways, appreciate the stylization, but I like the whole artwork. You know.
I prefer the other ones actually, man. To be honest, I've got to side the other way.
I mean, I'm not sure if this is the best example of it, but like they kind of. We can find another one. So like, okay, sorry. So like I have Greatest Show in the Galaxy here. It's a bit creased, but like I like the blues to it and like kind of how they.
Yeah, I mean that's very much
Still
almost the VHS cover, to be honest, from what I can remember.
Yeah, although, well, which one came first?
Probably. Oh yeah, actually that's a good question. But yeah,
Yeah, like I mean, I can understand why, because it does have the new reissues do have a kind of a style to it, I guess. But I've always just kind of liked the fact that it's like the whole artwork, and there was some very very elaborate artworks. Actually, I don't know, like at one of these conventions, they gave us like a full like print of Well, I got like a full print of the Three Doctors Target cover. And it's like such a elaborate piece. I don't know if I can find that or not.
don't make me edit more.
I'll leave it for now. But yeah, it was like a full like poster piece of the
I think I remember,
Three
was that one
Doctors
of the
Target
Bedford
novel, and it
ones?
looks great.
Was that at Bedford? One of the Bedford charity cons? Probably was. That's where they had the more like different. I think it was actually. They have a
Either
lot of
that
artwork
or
there.
one of the signings, because they used to give out pictures at the fandom film signings as well. They gave
okay.
out some things. So it might have been. I don't remember, to be honest. Oh no, I think it was, because that was for. Because you don't have one of those, do you?
No, I don't think I do.
No, because yeah, it would have been the fandom films Three Doctors event.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm missing.
Where they had like Stephen Thorpe and
right.
John Levine and yeah, and they had like and they were giving out like this high quality print of there it is.
Nice. Okay.
Smoothly
Oh
edited.
no!
Sorry.
I swear I remember you getting that. Maybe.
Maybe.
There we go. Cutting in. There we go. Oh, you can see my reflection as well.
There it is. It took ages to find.
Slightly. I find it weird the ordering that they put them in. Like put 3 in the middle. Like, at least put 1 on the left and then 2 on the right.
I guess he's a US Doctor. I think that was like it in like a lot of the publicity shots. They kind of had it in this order as well.
That order.
But yeah,
cool.
I like the whole thing with like Omega and stuff.
I'm so glad they had the idea of doing a multi-Doctor story.
We got these, I think.
Oh, nice.
Old Tomb print.
You
Slightly
belong to us.
Because I needed to get it back somehow, but yeah.
Nice. There we go.
That was worthwhile.
3 minutes of searching for that, which I'm gonna have to find that. I've noted down the time actually, but yeah. And then I guess the other thing, which going back to Russell the T, did was the sequel, the roast sequel, which was somewhat interesting. Did you? I like that they recorded like an audio version of it. That was really cool.
Yeah.
To listen to, because it was actually quite long, like 10 minutes. So it was a pretty good sequel.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it until the end. I
Yeah.
really, really loved it. I was like, this is so fucking cool. It's setting up the
I was wondering if
Pandorica. I
yeah,
thought they were going to
exactly.
go
Yeah.
that route. I thought that maybe the Nest team was going to find, like, Rory or something. Like, that's what.
Well, it wouldn't have been from that early on, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, because I was like, yeah,
But
but it went
I
back.
had it at the back of my head, but it's like, no, this is too early for that, isn't it? It couldn't.
Yeah, because I know that Rory, like, looked after, I thought it was going to somehow get back in time or something. Like,
Yeah.
like, maybe at the very end of Rose, it tracked its way all the way down to where the TARDIS appeared again, held onto the outside, got dragged through time and space, ended back in the, like, Roman Centurion period, then latched onto the soldiers or whatever, like, something like that. That's where I thought it was going, but no! Boris Johnson's an Auton.
It's Boris Johnson.
It's Boris fucking Johnson. I mean, like, it's kind of funny, and, like, that's what a kind of Auton would do. I guess, like, if you were trying to take over a country or something, but it was just like, I was like, this is great. This is, like, it's connecting things. It's connecting, like, the whole Pandorica thing, which I thought was so cool, because I was like, yeah, they were there, Imagine if it was actually the Nestine who was like, guys, we got to fucking, stop this guy. Like, and I really loved it. I really, really loved it. I was like, it's so cool. Like, I can't believe they added in that the eye fell into the river, though. And, like, people were dying, like, in the pods as it, like, got flushed out. I was like, this is fucking dark. And they never mentioned the eye in the series. Breaking, like, ooh, yeah, Big Bleng got hit by a thing, but the London Eye exploded, and, like, nah, that's all good. But fucking hell.
One's about as a messed up clown.
Yeah, it was so cool, like, connecting onto the mannequins, which obviously is perfect for them, staying still. But yeah, I loved it all the way until just that end twist, I guess. I thought it was going to be a lot smarter than it was, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, it's classic. It's classic Russell T kind of writing. So it didn't ruin the rest of the piece. I just thought they were going to go this is setting up the whole Pandorica plot line, which would have been so cool, obviously, all the way back, 5 years later, that it all connects up. But hey ho, it was a really lovely piece to read. Now we know how the Nestine escaped. I guess clearly coronavirus, affects the Nestine consciousness because Boris Johnson now has corona. So there we go. The Nestine, even if you're made of plastic, you're not safe. So all you Botox-filled people out there, you better watch out. It's coming. Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was nice. The guy who recorded it, I don't know who that was who did the voice recording, but he had a really good voice. Very chilling. I like that the clown just threw this lady over the railing at one point as well. I kind of yeeted her over. It's like I like how Russell's a lot more violent with what the villains do in, like, the novelizations. Like
because he can get away with it.
Like in Rose, like, Clive get his fucking face blasted off. It's like his head gets blown off, basically, not just shot. It's like people without legs and arms, I think, and stuff. It was really bloody.
Because they morphed the Autons a lot more in the novelization, because they had, like, blades for hands and stuff, rather than just having it purely like the guns. They actually morph the bodies and do.
Yeah, well, they did that a bit in the.
But they chop, but like the whole hand like morphs into like a blade.
A blade, yeah, because he like Mickey had those choppy arms.
Yeah, the trades.
They just did a bit more with it.
Yeah.
God, I love Rose. Such a good episode. But yeah, absolute nostalgia blast, isn't it? Just talking about Rose. Just 15 years.
Yeah.
15.
Well, we've already done it. Well, actually, yeah, we only did it once, but we posted it twice. Technically 3 times if you want to count the 2 parts we did at the beginning.
Yeah. Then we did Rose HD.
Still, he's the most effort I've ever put into like an editing project was Rose HD.
It was a grand old time. It deserves the respect. I love it so much. It's just crazy how much, like, one episode of a show can kind of shape a whole life. Like, if that hadn't hurt me, I wouldn't be here right now. Like, it's so weird. Like, I might not even be in this flat doing the placement that I did if it hadn't hurt me.
Yeah. I mean, that would have happened if anything changed. That's the butterfly effect.
It's crazy, isn't it crazy? Just this one episode had to encapsulate me to then lead me down this path. So, big love to Doctor Who in this week. 15 years. Yeah. Can we notice me, Doctor Senpai? Oh god. But yeah, I mean, it just fills me with a lot of joy and nostalgia, and there's been years of us just talking about Doctor Who and just how much joy,
endlessly.
endlessly. I mean, if you counted the fucking hours that we've talked about this show, probably too many hours, but we're not going to stop now because we've got weekly podcasts to do. So let's try and get to week 3. Week 3, give it up for week 3.
We probably lost months of our lives talking about this.
Honestly, we probably have, watching and talking and yeah. Oh man, but
how long till we get to a year?
It's all been worth. I mean, mate, to be honest, we're probably at least at maybe like 6 months worth, maybe. I mean, each podcast is hour, so I know or more. I mean, if you just counted up our channel alone, I mean, I could find out how many hours. I think. Can you see how many hours you've posted?
Probably not.
I think you can only see hours of watch time, annoyingly. But if I could add it all up, which I'm too lazy to do, then probably a fuck ton, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Good fucking times. Good times. Good vibes. Good times. Which is what we need right now during this isolating period. I need to actually. I'm looking at my my Series 5 steelbook. I kind of want to watch because it is actually a cracking season. Series 5. You really like. It really is a really solid piece. Like only really the Beast Below and the Angel episodes are the weaker ones. Maybe the Lodger is a bit weak, but I enjoy football, so watching the Doctor play football was always kind of fun for me. And I kind of love Matt Smith's and James Corden's dynamic. I think they work really well.
I wasn't so fond of Silurians, but
yeah, it's a bit of a retread. But actually,
entirely a retread.
It's actually still a good story. It's just too much of a retread because you know the original and it's one of your favorites, like stories that it's obviously. But actually, if you look at it kind of without that and you look at it kind of on its own, it is actually a solid, well acted, and looks really great as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, was never too fond of the designs, to be honest. But...
Yeah, slightly too lizardy, maybe.
Well, they're just human faces slapped on a sea devil, basically.
Yeah.
It's all it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
That's not Silurian.
I really want the sea devils to come back, like this bug-eyed kind of.
Yeah, well. Or like less human-like Silurians, because I know what they were trying to do with it. They were trying to kind of tie it into the whole original, like the whole thing where it's kind of like race relations and such, and make commentary at the time. And like I can kind of see that, but like the original story put that to its extreme, like completely unhuman-like things that like. So
it's harder to show that connection. Yeah. So maybe that's that's. Maybe more important because maybe they should have gone that way because they look so different. It's harder to even show that kind of, not be kind of speciesist, racist, I guess. Yeah, racist.
Yeah.
Like, it's even harder because they don't look anything like us. Like, at least because they had slightly humanoid faces, it would be easier. But if they were these bug-eyed creatures, like the sea devils, like they have fucking massive eyes, don't they? Like.
Or the sea devils in the Silurians in their free eyes.
Yeah, imagine trying to discuss sharing your land with that, and you're thinking you're going to walk to Tesco, and there might just be a Silurian next to you. That would be a weird change to get used to.
Yeah,
that would be tough.
Yeah,
But
they were here first, so it's
their, and that's why it would be far more interesting. And that's why it'd be far more interesting with them looking so different. But I mean, it's creative.
A lot of the storylines I feel like they should have gone with the Silurians. They ended up going with the Zygons instead.
Yeah.
Because of course you can morph them into society more easily. But that just kind of feels like they
cheating.
kind of copped out on
Yeah.
the ideas that they could have gone with for the Silurians, really. Because we have like Vastra, but
Yeah.
it.
It cheats the kind of the story, like, oh well, humans don't even know they're there, so it's fine, you know. It's like, what
Yeah,
if the humans
exactly.
did know they were there, and they really stuck out? Like, then what happens? Who's gonna be racist then? You know, like, it will show that every kind of, you know, skin color could be then race. You know, it can be racist at that point, you know, because it would be so different to any human. You know, it would be interesting to see kind of what that kind of social experiment, I guess, if you call it, like, that would be interesting, you know. But maybe a bit too heavy for Doctor Who. Who knows? Like, I know
To be fair, they've gone to some quite
touch
heavy places.
They touch on racism. Rosa probably being the closest, but there's only so far you can go with it in a family show. Like, you couldn't do like major brutality or anything. I mean, like, yes, Ryan got slapped, but that's about, you know, that's as bad as it got, kind of thing. Which was awful, but, you know, it's like, you know, there's a balance. You can't go too into these issues like that on a show like this. You could, you should address them, but there's only like about how many levels you can go before, you know, because you can't use like the N word or anything on. I think they called. I think they said Negroes in Rosa, but they didn't use the other word for obvious reasons. But realistically, they probably would have said the other word, you know, in Rosa. But it's because you just can't do that on a family show, because that would automatically, I think, bump it up to a 15 or something for that kind of language.
Well, I guess unless they made it educational, because there's a special exception for like educational things.
I
So like
guess
war documentaries were down as kind of a special exception because of their historical importance to that.
Yeah.
So there is like there's a
It's a balance.
depends on how
isn't
they
it?
look at it.
And it's not a documentary. It's a fictional thing.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. I wonder.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very interesting, the whole like TV making processes and choice designs, because originally when they were designing the Silurians, they did at one point have them with the third eye. I think there's a sketch in the behind the scenes.
There is, yeah, and it looks good. Like that makes me so sad.
The tough thing is maybe the creatives wanted it to be like that, but it was the marketers and or the high ups who were like,
I would have thought that a more alien design would have been far more marketable. Given Doctor Who's history.
People can be very strange. I work with, you know, in what I do at the minute, and I have, you know, people from marketing ask me for changes that to me make no sense. Like it delivers the same message, but they want maybe some slight words changing, even though it's exactly this. It comes out with the same result, kind of thing. Sometimes they have really valid reasons. Sometimes it's like completely, it's their opinion, and it's like, well, but you kind of have to follow that. Marketing is a really weird control power. You see it in movies where, you know, they're like, oh, could you include this character a bit more so that, you know, we can try and push toys of this. Like the whole Ewoks was just a massive toy thing. The bears, you know, in Star Wars.
Yeah, although I think that was more on George Lucas than anybody.
Yeah, but he was thinking about marketing, and now imagine like there's a whole department who is just George Lucas in that movie trying to get you to sell stuff, you know. So it's crazy. It's crazy how much marketing can have an impact on like creatives. Also like time in prosthetics, how long would that take? So like maybe the creatives wanted it to look like that, but obviously when they got the new design, they couldn't then suddenly just redesign Madame Vastra to look completely different, kind of weird stuff.
Apparently a lot of it was Moffat wanted it to be redesigned without the third eye because Davros had it, and then Chibnall wrote the Silurians and wanted it to be like more the redesign to capture the actors' faces. So it's Chibnall's fault, basically.
There we go. Well, Moffat didn't want the third eye,
and Moffat didn't want the third eye, but he was fine with the rest of the aspects. Chibnall wanted it to look human-like.
There we go. So,
So
damn
it's
it,
his
Chibnall.
fault.
Well, there we go. There's the truth. Well, maybe. It's journalism. What is this wiki?
Yeah, I know.
That's our journalism
Yeah.
level. If it's not a wiki, we don't know it.
Best source.
Right, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week's celebration of 15 years of New Who. Wow.
Then I'll discuss about the site of the ruins, which I don't know how that fits into this, but
I mean, you jump around in the podcast. Whoever
Yeah.
stays on track during a podcast.
we're not focused.
I mean, bloody isolation is driving me crazy. I'm talking to walls. It's not good. I mean, yeah. That'd be an interesting episode. Do something about isolation. Doctor's stuck in a small... I guess they kind of deal with Para-3, stuck on Earth. Runs away. But it'd be interesting if it was like something like the Doctor really stuck in like a weird isolating area.
Midnight?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that is it. But I wonder, like... Yeah, I guess they've done it with like Heaven Sent by themselves, isolated on this castle.
That too.
So good, Heaven Sent. Unbelievable television. Incredible. On the edge of your seat the whole time. Fantastic. Moffat. I do miss you sometimes. When he made those gems like that,
Yeah,
he just fucking had it, didn't he?
he really did.
He really could do some of the best science fiction. Same with
And
Russell
some
T.
worse.
Some of the worst, But it's like Russell T, like with Midnight, Turn Left, two of the best pieces of television. Waters of Mars was with Phil Ford, who's also a fantastic writer. I'm interested to see this new Dalek story coming up whenever they tell us they're releasing that. Christmas or
Whenever that happens.
New Year. I guess it'll be Christmas or New Year.
Depends on how delayed production gets.
I mean, what's cool though is that they filmed it super early. So if they're doing like special effects, they could go really crazy with like the VFX in this. Like, lots of exterminations. Like they could go proper big.
I mean, since they're not filming anymore for a while, they might have the time to.
Exactly. I mean, like that's the beautiful thing about editors at the minute are just carrying on like fucking normal. Like if you're editing, you can do that at home anyway. You literally sit in a room and edit. You can do that anywhere. Maybe you're not in your fanciest, like most fanciest studio at work, but you got every editor has like a edit area at home. So they're probably editing away at it right now. They wrapped on it, so it would be in the edit stage. So, there we go. I mean, in the cool behind the scenes of the Faceless Ones, the whole animation, they have like 8 animators work all over the world. I think one was in, I can't remember what country now, but abroad, somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what you could do. You could just animate at your desk at home.
I think that's more and more common now. I remember it was the Amazing World of Gumball was like partially done in like various countries, and like you can kind of see that because of the mismatched kind of animation. But that's of course the intentional style to that one.
Ah, cool.
So I mean that is kind of a common thing to do nowadays.
But yeah, so it's like the VFX could be done anywhere. So I mean, it looks cool. It looks like a full-on Dalek war from what we saw on the bridge, which is something we haven't really seen as much yet. Like Dalek factions going against Dalek factions. We've seen like one Dalek rebelling like into the Dalek, but we've never seen a full-on like Dalek factions against each other. I think it was the Russell T ones versus, I can't remember what the other design were now, but look cool. Could be good, and hopefully Companion's leaving. I wouldn't mind Yaz staying because she was like the most interesting of the last series. I feel like there's more you can do with her, but like Graham and Ryan, pretty much their arcs finished last series. So
They did.
It's like Ryan's literal arc was, could he shoot a basket?
Yes.
He could blow up Cybermen. I mean, like that's a pretty wide open shot. I mean, there was quite a lot of them. Like that, he's still a shit shot. Like if you can't get it in the hoop, like there should have been a moment where he had to get it in a really tight space, like throw this bomb for a really tight space, and then I would have been like, well, there we go. But like that's his arc. Can you throw? I was like,
Ready to play b-ball.
This is the issue with this dyspraxia. Like they bring it into some episodes and then like completely like
They don't others.
yeah, and it's like either this is going to be a really big issue for him, like struggling to open doors and stuff, and have to like having to walk a really like thin plank or something, which she could easily fall off. Or just don't have it as a thing. I like it that they have it as a thing. I think it's really, inclusive and an interesting storyline that you could go. If you're going to make it, can you shoot a fucking basket? Like, I don't care about his basketball career. Sorry. And if you're saying that, he's done it because he managed to throw a bomb. Nah. Like, I don't know. And then Graham was just there. Like, what arc did he go on?
Maybe cancer, I guess. They talk about it again.
Yeah,
but they don't
that got a load of
do
complaints, actually. Because the Doctor was insensitive about when Graham said...
did, yeah.
Which I thought it was strange that the Doctor did that reaction. Because the Doctor gives so many good speeches all the time off the top of her head that when her friend comes up to her and says, yo, I'm scared of the cancer coming back, she's like, awkward. See, I found it somewhat funny, because I was like, classic. Like, Doctor being awkward. But also it just didn't fit this characterization of the Doctor, because this Doctor's always...
Well, I don't even think, like, a lot of the previous incarnations, like, you'd think about, like, how the other Doctors would react in the situation, and they would, say something.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can't compare to other Doctors, because they're completely different people. But my issue is she doesn't match her own personality. She always has something, like, to say... She can talk about, ooh, you're burning up your ozone, you're going to make the planet... You're going to become these mutants, Orphan 55. I'm going to give you a big lecture because it's like you freeze fault. But then, like, you got cancer and I don't know what to say. I think the way they try to write it off was the Doctor was, like, sad and upset by this news that she didn't know what to say is the angle they were trying to go for. But then they need to show more in the face and acting. I think there's a lot of miscommunication between what goes on the paper and what the directors pick up. I'm getting this kind of feeling. Because like when I was reading like the Chibnall segment, like it sounded like there was a lot there, but it's a lot... You can interpret that so many different ways. Like, if I had the Doctor falling like that, I would construct that scene and her thoughts flowing. I'd construct that scene maybe completely different to how another person would. I would have it all VO and her like falling in slow motion, having all these thoughts, and I'd do really beautiful kind of falling shots in like super slow motion. Have you ever seen Dread? 2013?
No, I haven't.
Fucking amazing film. They do really lovely slow motion, like super slow motion, like really, really slow, like they're barely moving. They must have done like, I don't know how many, like, they must have had a really fucking high shutter speed or something. Because in 25, your shutter speed is 50, so that's 25 frames per second. They must have, like, really gone crazy. Because that's, like, so slow. At one point, his character, like, falls off the top and she hits the ground, basically. It's an 18. She hits the ground and, like, her face slowly splits open after she's fallen this height. But it's gross because she's, like, hitting the ground at high speeds, but the way they film it so slowly, it's like it's beautiful. Like the cracker is artistically gory.
Yeah.
But like I would have done like obviously not the gory side, but the Doctor falling in like complete slow motion, like catching all like the little eye movements as this VO goes on in her head. That's how I would have constructed that. What Chibnall wrote. Someone else might go completely a different way and have a panicking and it's all happening so quickly and. I feel like there's maybe some there's like lost kind of communication and understanding on who exactly is this Doctor? What are we dealing with here? Like, does she always say these things out loud? Does she need to? Can we do it in a look? Can this be done in a look?
Yeah.
And I think there needs to really be that. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of late now, but there should have been that communication at the start. Like, does she really need to say this line? Is what I would have pushed back on. Sometimes, like, I don't feel this. It doesn't work. Why is she explaining this? She could just look at it, and that you get enough emotion through the look.
They don't give the audience enough credit. I think so often it's just like rather than getting that impression off from a look or like from a facial expression or from actions, they just feel the need to endlessly explain exactly. Yeah. I'm feeling this. Yeah. And this is what I'm gonna do.
It's like when Ryan was upset, and Yaz in Rosa, they're hiding outside the hotel, and like they're kind of having a talk. You could have done that whole scene with just Yaz speaking and Ryan saying nothing, and the whole emotions playing out the same. Maybe even more powerful, because Ryan doesn't need to tell you that, oh, it's horrible that they're treating me because it's something I can't control. You could do that whole one-sided, and Yaz being like, are you okay? And Ryan just not saying anything. And her trying to get a conversation out of him, and him just not being able to say anything but maybe shed a tear. You could do it all through... And that's, I think, the issue with this series, is it talks too much.
Absolutely.
It talks the talk so much that it can't walk the walk. You know, they don't have enough time for any walking because they've taught the whole way through it. And it's like, these actors are good. They're fantastic actors. Just let them actually act. You know? But yeah, there we go. Lots of stuff to come up. So yeah, we'll be back next week with, hopefully there's more stuff released for us to talk about, or you might be a bit light on topics. But yeah, Boris Johnson's now an Auton. That's confirmed canon. See, that one actually fits in the canon. The sequel fits. That can.
Although the fact that Boris Johnson again is a thing in the world continues to kind of contradict the made-up fictional leaders of the
except Trump in arachnids of the UK.
What happened to President Winters?
Yeah.
Well, he got shot, but I mean, what happened here?
Yeah. Harriet Jones, former MP.
Yeah, and Harriet.
We know who you are. That was the best fucking line. When the Daleks were like, yes, we know who you are. So good. Yes, we know who you are. She went out heroically. What a legend. But yeah, right. Catch you later, guys. Just gonna end it like that. Fucking bye.